I had a great talk with my sister Laura yesterday. We're very close, although we don't speak more than every couple of months, and sometimes this has dragged on to over a year or two, but lately it's been every couple of months we check in. She's great, and she's a year younger than myself, and we share so much in common in our viewpoints on life and matters of mind and body and health and so forth. And she could care less about Buddhism, quote, per se. She's never really studied it. And yet, we talked quite a bit last night, and she presented her view from her perspective about spontaneity and the importance of it. And it totally matched everything I learned from a Buddhist perspective of spontaneity. And this wasn't surprising to me because a couple of years ago I explained to my sister Mahamudra practice on the phone for about an hour. She totally got it, 100%, I could tell. And her background is ballet and art, and to a certain extent acting and writing, anything creative. Many years ago, to give you a sense of what kind of person she is, I attended a PTA meeting for my kids in a upscale Santa Monica school. And it's a real straight-laced community of wealthy homes and so forth. And when I was leaving after I left the meeting, the PTA meeting, I was walking to my car, and off in the distance I saw some woman doing pirouettes in the middle, on the sidewalk and jumping into the street and doing incredible moves, ballet moves. And I thought to myself, that's great, in this neighborhood where nobody wants to, you never see anybody in their yard having a picnic or anything like that. And here my sister is dancing in the street, literally, but I didn't know it was her. And I was thinking, whoever that person is, she really has the right attitude. And I hadn't seen her in a few years, so when I finally got close enough, I realized it was my sister, to my great delight. And whenever at that time, we'd see each other a couple of years. We talked for a couple of hours, and so that's kind of a snapshot of what she's like. So yesterday we were talking about the importance of not being, knowing your own truth, so you don't have to rehearse your own truth. And I was talking from the point of view of, giving Buddhist lectures and stuff. But I was saying, I was taught never to prepare, never have any notes or anything like that. That's the way I was taught, and that's the way I practice. And I was talking to Laura about that, and she says, yeah, I do the same thing with my acting. She says, I don't really want to, but before I go on stage, she does impromptu stage shows, she gets invited, and she does acting too. And she said, well, I have so many things going through my mind what I'm going to do, what kind of act I'm going to do. She says sometimes she just gets up there and chooses something randomly, purposely, that she hadn't thought of before, and just does their best. And so this brought the point out, that, exposing yourself is really a great way to learn, and even if you make a fool of yourself, who cares? And so we were talking about that. She says, yeah, it's really true. You know, sometimes she's put on one act shows several times where she's the only actor, she wrote the play and so forth. And she said, yeah, you get up there, you make a fool out of yourself sometimes. That's just the way it goes. But you learn something about yourself, and it's more honest, you know, to the people. And she says most of the time it really works, you know, but there are flops. But, you know, that's part of the game. And so it was a great conversation about this. And, you know, I was talking, you know, we were both talking about the way people appreciate that putting yourself on the line a lot more than reading notes. You know, we were talking about like when you go to a lecture or something and the teacher's reading from his notes, it's just not engaging. And so we had this really great talk about being spontaneous. And she also talked a lot about how, you know, she actually said, you know, the exact words from a Buddhist book unknowingly. She says, you know, the beginner's mind is the best mind. And she says, you always should try and be a beginner at what you're doing. And she told me how she bought a piano recently, one of those little kind you can put on your lap and play. And she said she bought a 2-year-old piano book for a 2-year-old, literally. She just started playing some notes, and she said how enjoyable it was, you know, just playing some notes. And she just kept playing and doing some things with these little kid books and passing her time doing that, because she thought a few weeks ago to get a musical instrument, she thought everything would be too complicated. She'd never played an instrument, so she got this little toy piano, and she's been having a blast with it. And now she's up to Mozart. But so the conversation pretty much concluded with the whole, one of my favorite topics, but she also knew it as well as I do. I know it from a Buddhist point of view, and she knows it just from, she taught ballet at Montessori schools for 10 years, and she's excellent ballet, you know, ballet, what do you call it? I don't know. She's a ballerina. She really is. And I didn't know how good she was. I went to enroll my kids in a Montessori school. It's actually the very first one in America. And I had no idea, you know, I just went into the principal's office one day. My kids were very young. I said, I'd like to see about enrolling my kids in school. And the principal looked at my name. She said, Josephson, do you have a sister? And I said, yeah. And she says, oh my gosh, we just love her. We just love Laura. She would walk into my office unannounced with like 10 kids, and they'd do a performance. and then I'll go out. And she told me how much she was the best teacher they ever had. And she taught there 10 years. And then she went to do other stuff. So we were talking about being path-orientated rather than goal-oriented. And of course, as Buddhist practitioners, it's one of the most basic fundamental points of meditation practice is not to get caught up in the goal, but into the practice itself. And it all came up with her little toy piano. She just says, I don't really care, I'm just enjoying it, you know, I don't have any agenda about it. But she told me about her ballet many, many times, and how she didn't really care how good she got. She just, you know, couldn't wait for the studio to open in the morning. Get up at 5 a.m. in Santa Monica and just wait for the studio to open. She'd be so anxious. She studied ballet for years and just totally loved it, but didn't care about accomplishing anything. And of course, that's the key to meditation practice, because you get in your own way when you try and get good at it. And meditation is so much like that. If you're trying to love meditation or try to get skilled at it, forget it, you never will. And if you just love meditation, it'll come as a byproduct of that love, not because you're trying for it. And Laura found out the same thing in everything she does. Art is her main thing, sculpting and acrylic. But on a lark, she went to Oxford over the years several times just to take courses in writing, and has done some writing. But the key is that Laura never really cares about getting good at anything, but she just loves to absorb her mind in the practice of whatever she's doing. And she really is truly an artist, dance, acting, ballet, and writing, phenomenal. Very, very, very skilled. And she's just great. I love her so much. And when we talk, it's so interesting because it just shows how it doesn't matter whether you're, quote, a Buddhist or a meditator or not. It's all in the mind and how you approach life and how you integrate yourself with life and how you just love what you do. And that's this talk. I just wanted to share my wonderful talk with my sister last night.